What's going on, guys? Inside Locker Room TV back here today, and I'm here joined by Adam Blake from Adam B Sports and also Michael from Michael Sports Talk. We got a lot of news to get into today. A blockbuster happened earlier today, and then we also have Trey Hendrickson also getting it done, threading the needle, getting that contract signed. He gets a nice raise from the Bengals. And then also, we're going to be going into what we're most excited for this season as it comes up. We got college football starting next week and also the NFL soon following after. But, guys, I wanted to ask you, we obviously had the Micah Parsons trade earlier between the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. My first thought off rip is that this makes the Packers instantly title contenders for the NFC. I had them first off winning the NFC before this trade even happened. So now adding Micah Parsons with all their other defensive woes, including Rashawn Gary, another nice piece on the defensive line. They even added defensive power through the draft with players like even added players through the draft with players like Sorrell and Oliver as well. So, Adam, what did you first think of the Packers, the haul they had to give up, and then also adding Parsons here on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, two firsts, and then Kenny Clark, who's still a very, very good defensive tackle, or any can put him or good against anyone, right in the middle of your defense, right on the defensive line. I don't think it's a crazy amount to give up though. So from a trades perspective, I really like the Packers side. Don't want to get too much into the Dallas side. We're gonna leave a lot of meat on the bone for Deuce to get into it later, because he wasn't able to join us right now. But just from Packers standpoint, I agree with you. I wasn't as high on the Packers before this trade. I didn't have them like winning the NFC before this, but now I think they definitely can be challengers in the division. Previously, I had the Lions probably easily winning the division. Then I had the Bears as kind of neck and neck with the Packers, and you can't rule with the Vikings either because the Vikings still have a great core. We'll see if J.J. McCarthy ends up putting it together, and then they end up being the top 10 defense like they were last year. I think they're even like top 5.
Mm.
But I think I'm with you. I think now you have to put the Packers in contention to definitely win the division and maybe even win the entire NFC. Because I mean, it's crazy to think about because Rashawn Gary was already making $24 million a year as a top 10 defensive lineman as far as wage. So now you put Micah Parsons on the other side getting paid over $40 million a year. It's like paying two guys like $65 million, which is crazy. But yeah, no, I love it. I love it for the Packers. What about you, Michael? Any thoughts?
Yeah, this was I definitely will say it was a slap in the face to me. I did not see this coming. The question kept remaining in my head, where is Michael Parsons going to go? Despite the accusations that's been going on between him and Jerry Jones, it's just, the thought just kept coming in my head, where is he going to go? Where is the best fit for him? But I did not expect the Packers to be that potential team to go to. Now, I will be honest, this is a huge trade for the Packers organization. And I think, and I wrote this down not too long ago, I think Micah Parsons' arrival instantly upgrades Green Bay Packers defense from a solid unit into a potential powerhouse. And I wrote this down as well. I wrote this to the side. It's a force multiplier. And what I mean by that is Parsons will immediately make the players around him better. He has an elite pass rushing ability. I think we can all agree on that. There's no doubt about that. He will draw double teams, create one-on-one matchups for all the other players around him that's going to be on that interior of that defensive line. So you put Micah Parsons, you put Rashawn Gary, you put Lucas Van Ness on that defensive line. Just imagine just how much of an impact that's going to be for the Packers front on that D line. Now you're looking at more of a violent, vicious D line because Michael Parsons, he's hard to not guard. He's hard, and it's just you're going to have an elite offensive line to stop him. But then at the same time, you got to think about the other Packers as well, because like I said, it's going to cause double teams.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So it's just going to get to that point where it's just like he's going to be a force to reckon with on that interior of that Packers defensive line. So I think this is a huge trade for the Packers organization. Shout out to the front office. I mean, I just was not expecting Micah Parsons to go to the Packers. I'm just going to be honest with y'all, and it's a surprise to me, but I like it. It's nasty, and I like nasty. Y'all know how I get down.
Yeah,
yeah.
certainly oh, sorry.
Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say it's certainly gonna be a day to remember for NFL fans. I feel like people are gonna remember where they were when they heard the news that Micah Parsons was gonna become a Green Bay Packer. And yeah, like you guys said, this is gonna be huge for Green Bay and Lambeau, the city of Titletown over there. As me and Adam visited there recently. But yeah, another crazy stat to throw out there as well. Micah Parsons is only one of two NFL players to have 12 sacks in the first 4 seasons. The other NFL player to have that same stat, Reggie White, who also played for the
Crazy.
Packers. And he
Mm-hmm.
went from the Eagles to the Packers. So it's pretty much identical there in terms of like, the team situation going to
He
Green
could
Bay.
definitely be.
But yeah, he could
Yeah,
very much well be like the next Reggie White for this Green Bay team. So
absolutely.
this is going to be insane.
Without a doubt.
And
Yeah,
like we said, with the combination of Rashawn Gary and the defensive power that they added to the draft, I mean, the sky's the limit in my opinion for this Green Bay defense.
Yeah,
yeah.
without a doubt.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I think the biggest winner of this trade is Rashawn Gary, because he's a very good pass rusher, but he was a guy that couldn't necessarily fight through double teams. He wasn't necessarily living up to like the $24 million he's getting paid per year. But yeah, now you have Micah Parsons on the other side, gonna get doubled probably 75% of the time or more. Most plays he's gonna be doubled. So then Rashawn Gary's just instantly opened up.
Mm.
Also, I was gonna say shout out to Fun Football Podcast. Friends of the show. He did a little recording yesterday. He is a Packers fan, but he was asking like, will Micah Parsons actually go to the Packers? And honestly, I was in agreement with everyone else, and I was saying no. And this was just yesterday, less than
Mm.
24 hours ago.
You see what
And
I'm
now
saying?
now he's a Packer. It's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. It's so surprising. 'Cause like I said, I never expected Michael Parsons to go to the Packers. The question just kept coming in my head day in and day out, despite of what's been going on with Michael Parsons and Jerry Jones. Where is he going to go? And a lot of people get saying, oh, he's not going to get traded. Jerry Jones is not going to let him go and all that stuff in particular. And I was saying in my head, oh, he's going to be let go. It's just going to be a matter of where he's going to go. But I didn't expect it to be the Packers. And, I also forgot to mention this. The Packers D line was a weakness, but now you have Micah Parsons. Now you have strength on that defensive line. But at the same time, and I don't mean to be biased. I'm not trying to be biased here, but I'm just saying, even though Micah Parsons is a good addition to his D line and stuff like that, without a doubt. But at the same time, you know, can Micah Parsons, stay healthy enough to help out this Packers defense? Because he did have some injuries, but it wasn't major. What I'm saying, it's just that is he fully 100% going into this season, and plus playing for the Packers? I think he is, because he's had a lot of time throughout the offseason.
Yeah.
It's just that's just really the question that you have to think about, and not everyone is talking about that. But I'm just saying, you kind of have to put that to the side. But like, can he stay healthy enough to help the strength, you strengthen this defensive line, because they were already a weakness to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, $120 million guaranteed over 4 years is a ton of money. It's the most anyone's ever got as a non-quarterback. Obviously, he's getting the highest wage per year as well. So, I mean, like
Hmm.
you said, yeah, I mean, the Cowboys do save a lot of money financially here. The Packers are gonna have to pay up now, or already have paid up. So
Yeah,
we'll see if it
Yeah.
works out. I mean, you're getting one of the best defensive players in the league, though.
yeah.
Um, but unless anyone else had any other thoughts,
Yeah.
moving into, did you have anything, Ben?
No, you want to segue into Trey Hendrickson? We could get right into that
Yeah,
next.
moving
Yep.
moving into one of the other best defensive players, the guy that's led the NFL in sacks over the last 2 seasons, if not the last three, Trey Hendrickson. That deal finally gets done. It wasn't a long-term deal like we were expecting. He did not end up getting traded either.
Hmm.
But one of the longtime holdouts, is over now. He gets a $14 million salary increase, so he's now getting paid $30 million per year. Very well deserved. I still don't think it's enough for him, but at least now he gets to be happy for 1 year. He's still going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2025. So I'll ask you guys this first. Do you think that they'll get a long-term deal done during the season now?
I mean, I was surprised they even got this deal done to begin with. As far as I guess the negotiation goes, because you see a bunch of interviews with Trey Hendrickson, he just does not sound happy at all, and like the relationship at that point between the Bengals and Hendrickson was up in the air. I mean, we saw him also in Florida while training camp was going on. So, but they thread the needle, giving him a $14 million increase. But as far as does this make the Bengals defense, any better? Of course it does with Trey Hendrickson, but you know, they did also have to cut a ton of players too, just to even, afford everything because of the offensive contracts that they gave to, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. But they still have Shamar Stewart on that line as well with Hendrickson, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it was honestly surprising to me to begin with that they got this deal done. As far as a long-term deal goes, I mean, we'll just have to see what the market is now. But now it's even higher with this, new Micah Parsons contract that maybe other defensive players are going to want to, strive towards. I mean, Michael, do you think they're going to have a long-term extension talk here for the end of next season, maybe?
Actually, I've seen this happen many times before with a lot of star players and organizations. And the main thing that I will say, do I think a long term deal is going to happen with Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals organization? It's highly doubtable. I don't think that Trey Hendrickson wants to play there anymore unless they're willing to give him a deal that he wants towards the end of his 1 year contract. To be
Mm-hmm.
honest, the 1 year contract is kind of crazy to me. I mean, you only give him a 1 year deal. That basically saying that we're just gonna sign this 1 year deal and then we're just gonna let you be a free agent after this,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of telling you in reality terms, this is his last year as a Bengal. And I'm not saying that because that's my opinion. I'm saying that because if you just look at the facts here, that it's 9 times out of 10, this is going to be his last season as a Bengal. And I think, I've always had love for Trey Henderson. When he was a Saint, I had love for him. I hate when we let him go a long time ago. And I'm shooting and hoping that Mickey Loomis makes a return to bring him back to the Big Easy. But as far as what's going on right now with the 1 year deal and him getting a long-term deal, honestly, Ben, Adam, I'm gonna say no. I think this is his last year as a Bengal. I feel it. It's kind of hard to not see,
Yeah.
with the deal that they
Yeah.
just gave him. And then I got resources. According to ESPN, my guy Adam Schefter clarified the pyramids. Henderson gets a 14 million raise for this year, up to 30 million, and it's going to be in the last year of his deal. That means there still be plenty to worry about down the road, which is true. But like Adam Schefter just said, this could be his last season as a Bengal. I honestly feel this is his last year as a Bengal because you signed him to a 1 year deal. What does
Yeah.
that tell you? That
Yeah.
tell you right there. And I can be wrong, y'all. I can be wrong. I've seen this happen many times before. He can either be let go or they resign to a long term deal. But do I think it happens? I know I've said it about 2 or 3 times already, but I'm gonna say it again for the people that cannot hear me. No, it's not going to happen. This is
Yeah.
his last season as a Bengal. That's not my opinion. That is reality.
Yeah, it's interesting to see like the amount of years he got because we also saw Terry McLaurin finally sign his deal with the Commanders, and he was a little visibly upset with Washington as well. But two different position groups here. But Adam, I knew you wanted to give more of your sense here.
Yeah, I mean, like he didn't even get like a extension at like by any means,
It was like a
but at
raise
least you're
basically
giving
at
him,
that point.
yeah, you're giving him the pay raise for the 1 year, so at least you're making him happy because potentially he wasn't even going to suit up and play at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives the Bengals a chance this season. So I was going to ask you guys, like, what do you think the ceiling is now? I'll give my opinion real quick first. But like the Bengals without Trey Hendrickson, I think they were a borderline playoff team, but they're going to be a defensive liability again. They probably would just barely miss the playoffs, but you never know with Joe Burrow and that offensive core. I think now that you have Trey Hendrickson and you have a little bit improved defense with Shamar Stewart, and then they got Demetrius Knight Jr. linebacker, I think in round 3. So if their defense can just step up just a little bit, because I think they had I think it was the highest, they scored like 28 or 29 points in losses last year, which was like, I think it was the highest in NFL history. If not, it was one of the highest rates ever. So you just need to take a little bit of pressure off of Joe Burrow offensively, so then he doesn't have to just outscore every single team. So I mean, I think if it's working really well, if Trey Hendrickson's doing exactly what he did last year, it's just gonna be it's gonna really boil down to just the finances at the end of the day. Joe Burrow said he'll take less money and said he'll restructure his contract. So if they're able to restructure his contract for next season during the year, then maybe we could see a deal get done still. But I'm in agreement with Michael. I'm in agreement with you that I think most likely it's probably his last season. But crazier things have happened. I mean, we saw crazy things just happen today even. So you never know. They could come together and they could still make the contract work. But yeah, you're just mentioning Terry McLaurin. He gets locked in. I think we were all in agreement that we all kind of thought Terry McLaurin was going to get re-signed at some point.
Yes.
Like because otherwise, like, why are you trading for Debo? Like, and at the same time, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders went to the NFC Championship last year, and he did as a rookie. So it's like, you're not sending a good message if you don't re-sign Terry McLaurin. So I'm glad that deal got done. You guys have any thoughts on Terry McLaurin in general?
I mean, yeah, you get a 3-year deal. He's on the team for almost 6 seasons, so no brainer. Again for us right there. And I guess for our next topic here, I mean, season's right around the corner, guys. What are you looking forward to the most? I guess we can start with our own teams first here. I'll start it off with the New York Jets this upcoming season. I love what Steve Wilkes, the defensive coordinator, has done throughout the offseason. Was paying close attention during training camp in person, and the line here that the Jets are going to have here on defense is going to be a lethal one. We have a ton of talent here. Will McDonald, who had 10.5 sacks last year, Jamian Sherwood even, and of course Quincy Williams and his brother. So just a lot of depth here, I feel like, on this defensive front for the New York Jets, and I think that the defense will just return to form, how it kind of looked like 2 years ago even. So, that's something I'm very excited for, and just looking forward to what Coach Glenn does there. But Adam, I'll ask you about this with the Seahawks. What are you looking forward to the most with Sam Darnold, with Charbonnet, Charbonnet, and JSN here?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the offense. That'd be another really good one. But I want to see Mike McDonald's defense in year 2. He had the best defense in the entire NFL his final season with the Ravens when he was the defensive coordinator before he came over to Seattle. So I really we had a sneaky good secondary last year. I expect us to have a top 5 defense. I've seen some people even put us as top 2. So I'm really, really excited to see the defense in year 2. Specifically how Mike McDonald is going to use Nick Manwari, second round draft pick, how he's going to use him on the defense. I really foresee him using him as like a Kyle Hamilton, just like he did on the Ravens. And we just saw Kyle Hamilton get the biggest DB contract in NFL history. So if Nick Manwari can be used in that same type of way, heavy hitter, hybrid safety that you can just use as a nickel, you can use him deep, you can use him in the box, playing against the run. And he's so good in coverage, he didn't allow a touchdown in coverage last year. So I'm really, really excited to see him used as just a Swiss Army knife, special weapon. To draw a comparison, Josh Metellus on the Minnesota Vikings, there's some really cool stats about him. If you look at his deployment, he basically played every single position on defense last year or over the last few seasons. He's basically a positionless man. And that's something that I think Nick Manwari could be doing too. He's fast, he hits hard, he's good in coverage. So really, really excited to see that in year 2. and in year one for Nick Manwari. How about you, Michael? What are you most excited to see for the Saints this upcoming season?
Yeah. The thing I'm most excited for the Saints this coming up season is Cullen Moore in his first season as a head coach and his first time as a head coach. I'm excited to see his vision, what he has for our offense, and I'm also excited to see what does I think defensive coordinator Brandon Staley what he has for our defense. You know, with that 3-4 base defense. I've heard a lot of players like Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Alontae Taylor. They all love Staley's defensive scheme and what he's been able to bring to this defense. I'm also excited for Spencer Rattler. Shout out to him on winning the starting quarterback job. I think it's well deserved. I think he's growing in the right direction as a quarterback. It's he has a good arm. He has good accuracy. The only thing that I would say that I want Spencer Rattler to improve a little bit more on is his, decision making. He's done well with timing himself in the pocket, getting out of the pocket, scrambling. He's done all that well. Um, you know, and also another thing that I want to mention is, like I said, Cullen Moore's offensive vision. Um, he has a high plan, play calling, expected, significant change from a con- conservative style in the recent years. Cullen Moore is an offensive mind, from his time in Philly, getting him to the Super Bowl. His time in Dallas, I think Deuce can agree with me on that, what he did for Dallas and stuff like that. I'm just really excited to see, where Kellen Moore and Spencer Rattler is. I'm excited to see this duo. It's been a long time since we've seen a new duo besides Drew Brees and Sean Payton. This is a step in the right direction to see a new face in the organization. And I really hope that Spencer Rattler can prove doubters wrong and lead this offense a whole lot better than what people are predicting him to do. Even though the preseason wasn't great, but preseason is preseason. That's practice. But I honestly feel like with Spencer Rattler actually officially playing with the ones this time, I think is the best opportunity for him to prove, like I said, the world, the doubters, and all that wrong. But you just have to take it game by game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
For sure.
for Saints fans, I don't want us to get too excited. I'm not saying Spencer Rattler is not capable. It's just you have to slowly progress through this. When you have a new quarterback, you have a new head coach. You're not expected to see much. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but in reality, with Spencer Rattler starting and Cullen Moore as a new head coach, you kind of have to just be like, okay, I'm just going to watch and see how these games go. Starting with week 1 is against the Cardinals. I just want to see where we are, and if we lose this game, that's okay. I'm willing to accept my fate, but I just want to see where this offense is, where Kellen Moore is at, and how well Spencer Rattler can do as a starter. And if he becomes a face of the franchise, which is kind of early to say, but I feel like this season will determine who will be the guy to trust leading us into the future.
Love it.
Yeah, and then I guess now we can talk about another team that we're excited to see this upcoming season for the 2025 NFL season. And I'm going to start off with the Las Vegas Raiders. And that's because of not only because of their new quarterback, Geno Smith, but their rookie running back that they took in the first round. Ashton Genty, ladies and gentlemen, from Boise State. I think he's going to be a monster this year. It's going to be really cool to see him play finally in the league. Can't wait to watch him. And then also, on the defensive side of things, they still have a Max Crosby in the house. So, it's going to be interesting to see how they stack up against the rest of the AFC, West Division there with the Chargers and the Chiefs in the mix, and also the Broncos. that might be one of the best divisions in football besides, teams like the Eagles and the Commanders in the NFC East. But I guess now that the Cowboys just got weaker, that will be a little bit different. But another team with another new quarterback that I'll throw in there in the mix real quick is also the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to have Michael Penix Jr. at the helm and also Bijan Robinson, of course. And then they're going to see what they can do with Kyle Pitts in the mix and then this offense this year. And then on the defensive side of the ball for things in Atlanta, I absolutely loved what they did during the offseason through the draft. They picked up Malik Starks, also James Pierce Jr. So that defensive side of the ball should be stronger for them in the year 2025 through 2026. Adam, what was another team that you're excited for this year?
It's really the Bears. I've got a couple, but yeah, it's for me. It's seeing Caleb Williams in year 2, with Ben Johnson in year 1. Seeing if they can just be this dynamic offensive force. We saw like a little glimpse in the preseason game where Caleb Williams just looked electric in a couple of series. Colston Loveland looked unguardable as a tight end. Not trying not to get too ahead of myself because it was just preseason, but that's why I'm so excited to see them in the regular season to see if they can really put it together. They were sneaky good defensively last year, so it's really just on offense. But they've got DJ Moore, Rome Odunze is expected to have a big sophomore leap. Luther Burden they got in the draft, nice steal in round 2 in my opinion. And I love to see Luther Burden just like picking up some blocks in the preseason along the goal line. That's probably where he made his biggest mark. But really galvanized the team and really shows what he's all about to be able to do that in the preseason. And make a name for himself. So I'm really excited to see the Bears. My other one would be Bryce Young. I really think he's going to put it together this year. You finally get him the alpha wide receiver with Tetero McMillan, taking him top 10, which really to me just signals how much they believe in Bryce Young still. Some people just think he's too small. I have one friend in particular that still thinks Caleb Williams and Bryce Young are going to just completely fail this year. I'm just really excited to watch it, see what happens. But yeah, you had Chuba Hubbard on the Panthers as well. The biggest thing is going to be like their defense just has to step up because you just can't have Bryce Young on the field all the freaking time trying to outscore teams because they were one of the worst defenses in NFL history last year. Gave up like almost 30 points per game. So not what you want to see, but really excited to see Bryce Young and his development going into year 3. Michael, what are you most excited for any other team in the NFL other than the Saints?
Yeah, there are 2 teams that I'm most excited for that I've noticed. One is the Raiders, Ashton Genty. I call him Big Ash because that man got some legs like a cannon. He been running over people. I like that. He's already getting vicious, and he's only gonna get more and more vicious as the season goes along. So I think the Raiders are gonna have a shotgun of a running back on them. As long as that offensive line can block for him, hey, you got running game. You ain't got to worry about that. I think Ashton Genty is going to develop more and more as the season goes along. I don't care about the preseason. Y'all hear me say this all the time, and I'll say it again. Preseason is preseason. It's scrimmage. In reality, it doesn't count. You're playing backups, or either you're playing with backups or you're not playing backups. Either way, it doesn't matter. The point is how you do in the regular season. That's going to determine where you are. And I think Ashton Genty is the future is bright for that young brother over there in Las Vegas. And I think the future is bright for the Raiders organization. Now, the other team, Washington Commanders. First of all, shout out to my guy, Jaden Daniels, big LSU. I think he's going to be even more and more dangerous this year. I think he's going to chase after this playoffs more and more as his career goes along, and I think this is the opportunity to do it this year. The Commanders, they built around him. They brought in Deebo Samuel, and they have constantly proven that we're going to build around Jane Daniels without a doubt. And I think the Commanders and Jane Daniels, and they're just exciting to me, guys. And I really wish I could go more and more into this, but when you get a guy like Jane Daniels and Deebo Samuel, and I could go on and on with this, but I just feel like the Commanders are in business to make some noise. I don't know about the division. I would say it's kind of for grabs, maybe. But as far as making noise, I think the Commanders are in a good position to one make the playoffs and possibly with Jane Daniels and his ability, his quickness, his speed, his accuracy, his smartness on the field. I think this offense is going to be more and more dangerous as this season goes along. But at the same time, can Deebo Samuel stay healthy for Jane Daniels? That's what you also got to think about. Can the Commanders stay healthy enough to win enough games to make the playoffs? Right. That's also what Ashton Genty. Can he stay healthy? Not saying he's not injury prone. I don't remember ever Ashton Genty being injury prone. But you never know in reality how the season can go. And I'm just hoping that, I'm just hoping that, Ashton Genty can stay healthy. And I'm hoping that the guys around Jaden Daniels can stay healthy to where, some noise can be made on both sides. You know what I'm saying? So I think the future is bright for Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, and I think the future is bright for Ashton Genty, and it's possible he could end up winning Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yes, and now moving on to our next topic here, we had a very big, record being broken by Seattle's very own Kyle Raleigh. I mean, Adam, what's going on with this MLB MVP talk race right now? Has it changed at all? Let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. Obviously, Aaron Judge was out for a couple weeks with injury, so it allowed Cal Raleigh to make up some pace. But I mean, so just talk about Cal Raleigh really quick. He hit home run 48, home run 49, all in one game. So he tied Salvador Perez's all-time catcher record for a single season for home runs, tying him at 48. Then in the same game, next at bat, it was like first inning, second inning. Like he did not waste any time. Then he got sole possession at 49, and then one day later, became the first catcher in MLB history to hit 50 bombs in a single season, which is absolutely incredible. Like baseball's been around for over like 150 years. Like it's insane what Cal Raleigh's doing. We might never see a catcher season as good as this ever again. So from that standpoint, it's special. I just like, even if you're not a Mariners fan, just enjoy the ride, just enjoy the Cal Raleigh experience that we're seeing. And yeah, now the AL MVP race, it's deadlocked. They both have right around a 7.5 WAR. For people that don't know baseball, WAR stands for wins above replacement. So essentially, Cal Raleigh is he's basically giving the Mariners 7.5 extra wins versus like a different catcher at his position. Say if Mitch Garver was playing every single game at catcher, that versus like the average. But I'm just using that as an example because he's on the Mariners and he is probably an average catcher. So that's how special it is. It's going to be neck and neck until the very end of the season, I think. And even if it's favoring Judge a little bit from statistical wise, I still think it's going to go to Cal Raleigh just because he's doing things that have never been done before at his position. And it's special. I'll just leave it at that. It's special. And I guess just closing out the show, this game on Saturday, Texas versus Ohio State. The college football season is going. There's games going right now, but this is the first big game of the season. It's happening week 1. We're seeing number 1 Texas versus I'm pretty sure Ohio State is ranked number 3. So we're going to see a top 3 team start with an L right off the bat. Going to see Arch Manning, what he can do. We're already seeing so many people come out and say that they've never seen a quarterback like this. People that have been in the industry for, I think Mel Kiper's been doing it for 48 years, and he's been saying things about Arch Manning that he's never said about any other quarterback before. And then Ohio State, they're Julian Sayin, if I'm saying that right. He's a redshirt freshman quarterback that got named the starter, so we'll get to see him, first glimpse of him, see how he's doing. And Ohio State's they're always dangerous. And it's going to be really cool to see Texas start off as the #1 team, which hasn't happened in quite a few years, to my knowledge.
Yeah,
But any finishing thoughts, any final words, Ben?
yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, guys, if you guys want to see more college football content, hit that like button, that subscribe button, share this video with your friends, and thank you for listening once again. Stay tuned because soon we're gonna be hearing Deuce's thoughts on the Cowboy side of the Micah Parsons trade. So stay tuned for that tonight on the YouTube channel. And like always, guys, thank you again for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Appreciate you guys.